Llama party. Llama party. Llama party. Llama party.
Llama party.
Llama party. Llama party. Llama party.
Anyway.
I'm becoming. Llama party
in my mind. So, how's your week been, man?
Dramatic. Nothing new. Just chilling.
Dramatic.
Social distancing. You know.
Yeah, trying to stay away from people.
Trying.
But they following you on the internet.
They follow me, bro. I live rent free in so many people's minds. It's crazy, actually.
Yeah. I've seen some of the drama unfold.
It's wild. It's very, very wild and everything, you know. But with education and perseverance, ignorance will go away.
Yes. So let's talk about why people were on your case so hard.
I think people have this weird preconceived notion of what suicide has to be. When people
I was going to say death, but yeah, sure.
It's not just death, because killing's death, but we're talking about like to take your own life willingly. Mm-hmm. You know, like I made a status I was talking about, you know, to some, and I said to some, the thought of suicide can be very soothing.
Yeah.
Right? And like I mentioned it to you and you were like, yeah, I get it. And you mentioned what was Majora's Mask?
Yeah, there's a character in Majora's Mask that I think about whenever the topic of suicide comes up. It's in the desert area. I can't remember, like the Sky Temple, I think is what it's called. The one where you like climb all the towers and get to the very top. It's called the Garo Master. He's like a ninja thing that has like 2 dueling blades or whatever. And after you beat him, he gives you a speech and blows himself the fuck up. Mm-hmm. And the summary there is like, he refuses to accept that you defeated him. He refuses to go out on anybody else's terms but his. Mm-hmm. He's going to be the master of his own fate regardless of what happens.
He picks his own death.
Yeah.
He picks his own death in his own honorable way. And I think a lot of people, we go into like, before we go into the American concept or what people deal with mental illness and everything like that. Like, if you think about it, like, with Viking things, like, they went into a lot of battles knowing they would lose.
Yeah.
But dying on the battlefield was the most honorable way.
Yeah. So there's a lot of cultures like that.
A lot of culture are. And like, even if you're lost or you're defeated, you know, going out like that, it was just like, you know, that was the way, right? Like, you fought with pride. Even though you were losing, you still have faith and you went out there. But it was suicide, right?
There was a common theme between the Vikings and, like, the Spartans. Mm-hmm. And that theme was, like, I am a bad motherfucker. Mm-hmm. If any of you are better than me and able to kill me, then I will consider it glorious to die by your hands.
I think Asian culture, I think Japanese and Chinese culture, a lot of other Asian places had that same culture.
Yeah.
And they had their own various ways. Like, if something happened where you were, like, dishonorable, you can still have an honorable death for the gods to still shine some type of, praise or honor or forgiveness on you or something like that, right?
Yep.
You know, there was different ways. Because, like, based on the culture, like, if something happened, you were like, well, you're going to have to kill yourself, right? And it was just like, all right, that was the thing.
Yeah. And we've gotten very phobic of death.
Yes.
In the modern time in America and everything else. And yeah, I mean, I get it. It hurts whenever you lose somebody. Your heart's going to ache. You're going to miss them for a long time. Mm-hmm. But we have to accept it as, like, this is a part of the deal.
This is a part of the deal. And, like, I get it, like, there is a typical way where most people talking about, like, life's hard, they're suffering, they don't think they can make it out, like, the trauma's getting to them, they're sad. I know people that, like, talk about wanting to kill themselves, like, every other day is on Facebook. They're lonely, they don't have no friend. You know, the moping sad way, you know? And there's different degrees of people talking about it. There's people keeping it to themselves. There's people that smile all the time and then do it, like, what was it, Chester Bennington and Robin Williams? Mm-hmm. Right? And there was, like, these various people. The way I was talking about it, I was referring to myself, was this kind of like, I don't feel like I have anything to prove. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, for me, I feel like I'm very at peace and I know myself, but I'm very miserable and I don't see going further in life happiness. And that's not like, oh no, things will get better. And it's just like, yeah, I can, like, that'll get better and whatever else. But it's just like, there's a lot of genuine things that I don't feel like will get better that I'll feel miserable. Like the fact that I can just be myself and it bothers people.
That's what you're diving into now is a lot of the principles of Buddhism.
Is it really?
Yeah. The overarching kind of theme with Buddhism is that life is suffering.
Yes, and I fully believe that. And
To be alive is to suffer.
And for me going further, it was just like, what kind of person? Like, I'm always a person calling things out, wanting to make some type of change. And if the older I get, the more further I get, the bigger I have to go when it comes to change. Mm-hmm. And no, by no means I'm comparing myself to people like MLK or Malcolm X, but they lived miserable lives.
Yeah.
Right? And it's one of those things, it's just like, you know, any type of way I would live that type of miserable life, trying to be that not philanthropist, but humanitarian, like trying to help. You know, diving into politics. If you hate the politician or like the politician, every president grays instantly. Doesn't matter of age. Like, it's a heavy, stressful job. And helping people and doing that, especially people that are ungrateful for what you do, it's miserable. And I see myself as like, I've reached a point, I'm not trying to prove anything. Like, I am so successful to myself.
No, it's 100% stressful to be concerned with other people. Mm-hmm. This might be a controversial thing to say, but the way to live your life and not be weighed down by all this is just to be selfish as fuck. Like, be concerned with yourself. And
I really see it, and I see that, right? Yeah. Like, I see ignorance is bliss and being selfish is the way to go, and I see that, but it's like, I'm not all the way like that type of person. I try to be, but it was just like, I have no responsibilities. If I had a child, I would be so against it, right? But I don't have that responsibility. All I have is my girlfriend and my mother, right? And I have those two things. And the one person mentioned, like, when I made a post talking about it, he was just like, it's very selfish. And I was like, okay, it's selfish. What are we talking about? Like, be very selfish. It costs a lot of money. And it doesn't matter what I could say to my mom or to my girlfriend, any money they get from my death, life insurance, or whatever else, you know, just throw me in the ground and keep it for yourself. They wouldn't do that.
No.
Right? Like, and realistically, they wouldn't do that. Not only realistically wouldn't do that, I don't think my friend group, like, even if they didn't have the money, everybody, I feel like I have that friend group, people would chip in. And it would be stressful because people would want to do their best to give me some type of send-off. Even though I wouldn't want it. I clearly wouldn't want it.
Oh, I'm totally throwing a party in your fucking honor.
And
it's not going to be anything I got to spend a lot of money on. I'm just going to text everyone who is your homies and make a
just
Facebook
live it
post
out.
And be like, we're going to get fucked up. We're going to party.
I'd rather that.
We're going to put nudes of random people on the walls.
Oh my God. If that's the best way. If I died and like bitches just put up just the breast and titty ass twerking video and it was just twerk. If y'all had a twerk contest. Yes. Like, not a funeral, y'all had a twerk contest party for me. What better way, bro?
Because that's all I want. That's all I've said it before. Like, when I die, you guys don't need to have a fucking funeral. Throw me in a fucking hole in the ground and have a party.
That's what I'm saying. I just need just like a little like table where people like donated food and just various things of brownies, all brown liquor, and llama decorated decor.
Yes.
I'm with a twerk party going on. I think that's the best send off. But realistically, I know people would be sad because one thing I know with my mother and my girlfriend and some others is just like they get caught up with the potential I have, right? And I was like, yeah, I have the potential, I can do anything, but it's like I don't want to, and that's the thing. I have lack of passion. Like when I was traveling, like what was it, weeks and weeks, days, I was constantly on the move. I had passion. Then once I made it to a certain thing and I had my own company, I had my own event, started having work, and I started doing this, I was like, I've reached it. And I see sky's the limit.
Yeah.
And I don't know where else to go. Like, it's not that I don't know where else to go. I think sky's the limit. I just don't care. And I think that's where I'm at. I'm just kind of like, I don't know.
People get caught up too much in, like, what you can achieve in this life and
things
do. Like that.
They get caught up a lot with the potential.
And that shit annoys me. Like, whenever I hear my friends say that, like, they've got a parent that's disappointed in them because they don't have a fucking master's degree or something, like, who gives a shit? We get a very brief period on this earth. 80 years if you're lucky. So you should arrive at a point where you're comfortable, make enough to get by, and enjoy the shit out of this. That's all you need to be worried about. All this external shit, like what you can achieve and how much money you can make, it doesn't fucking matter. You can't take it with you. So just go and ball.
See,
have a good time.
Ball out and like live your best life. That's why I try and create like different bucket list things, like, oh, what do I do? And then like I end up doing it. Like I end up like just subtly doing like, I would have like that would have been a goal of mine, but then I achieved it, right? I meet my favorite wrestlers. I party with my favorite wrestlers. I meet famous people that in my childhood, you know, I've seen some things, do some things. I was like, what else to do?
at a certain point, you got to like stop thinking of it as things to do. Because like I have goals, and this is not to say don't have goals. Definitely have goals, but you got to stop like weighing the positivity or negativity of your life on what you can achieve and what you can't achieve, because you're just here to experience it.
That's true, and
That's it.
but that's what like I feel like what is the way? Have you ever seen the show The Good Place?
No.
All right, well, it's a great show. You should watch. I'll try to explain about spoiling it. The end of The Good Place is just like, and this ties into somebody else said. They're saying suicide is a way where it cuts your higher life contract, right? Like you have something to struggle and everything else. I disagree. I disagree with that because I was like, I don't know what I'm struggling with. The most I have is curiosity to get closure from those that passed away that I felt ended on a weird note that we were close, right?
Yeah.
But that's like, I came to terms with it, but it's just like almost to the point where taking my life and trying to see like if there's something on the side, could I get that closure, is more weighing on it. Now the tie into good places, so there's a concept, good places heaven, bad places hell, right? And they call it a good place. There was a concept where they say people pretty much reincarnate and do that thing over and over until they reach the good place. And once you live in a good place, you can do whatever you want.
There's a Midnight Gospel episode about this.
Yes.
Like you have to relive it over
There
and
is.
over again.
It is. So once everybody in the good place, and the trouble was, they were like with the good place, they were like everybody doesn't know what to do. It's just kind of like you're just there, right?
Yeah.
And there was one point everybody was so happy, and you just kind of repeat the same thing because it was boring. Your brain just turned to mush, and you just kind of forget that's the only way you could stay happy there. So they reached a point that was like, well, here's a beyond the good place. We don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And this one dude, he was like a philosopher of the highest caliber, and he was just like, I've reached it, and he's like, I want to go. And he told the woman he loved, he's like, I love you and everything else, but it's just like, I'm ready to go. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like resonates with me now because it's like I'm ready to go because like I don't know what's the next thing for me. Like I don't have passion. It's not like I don't believe I can't do it.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in me. There's no lack of confidence. You know, I'm just here, right? Mm-hmm. I'm here and living is suffering. And I know, so I'm here just suffering because of others, right? And I know that's a weird concept saying I'm suffering because my mom and girlfriend want me here. Right?
That's an argument that I've made a few times about abortion.
Oof.
A few times.
Oof.
It's like in arguments where people were like, well, they killed that baby before it had a chance. I was like, who are you to reach into the cosmic emptiness and yank this consciousness out and force it to suffer, because that's what life is.
That is.
You can't lie about it. Every good thing along with every single bad thing is because we're alive.
And to say is like, I'm not saying because I have a bad life. I actually enjoy my life.
Yeah.
I live a very, what is it called? Ghetto fabulous lifestyle,
Ghetto
right?
fabulous.
I live a very
hood rich.
I live a very hood rich lifestyle. As in, you say, Jesse, you can't. You be like, bet your ass I can. Right? I live a lifestyle where I can do whatever I want when I want if I want to do it.
Yeah.
So it's not like I don't. And the further I go, the more extravagant this type of style I live becomes. But it's just like there's nothing else. And I look at it like Kanye is I bring him up all the time, but he's a very passionate. Like he wants to do more, and I call him insecure.
Yeah.
You know, I always point out he's very insecure because he's constantly like pumping himself up because so he can drown out that manic voice that could be doubting himself.
Yeah.
Right. So he's constantly talking to himself. Oh, I don't need to do that. Right. You know, I don't have that like that burning sensation where I need to go. I don't have that like Kanye, that Trump, that feel whatever else.
Oh, I don't anymore either. I felt like I had it more whenever I was younger, but now I just don't.
That's, you know, like I look back and like when I was younger, I was like kind of insecure and I was faking it till I make it. Then it would reach the point where I feel like very much woke to the sense.
Yeah.
Right. Like of all conscience, woke, or whatever else. Like I feel like that because it's just like I don't rule out, and I'm constantly growing, and it's just like I have the tools to reach. If I haven't became enlightened, I have all the tools to reach enlightenment, and I feel like I have the tools. And if you throw something new at me, these tools will figure something out. Like, oh, okay, well we got to MacGyver this around, and boom, you know. And I understand how beautiful and how painful life is.
Yeah.
And I get it, like. And what I'm going through doesn't relate to everybody. And to some, it does relate. You know, you don't know what other people are going through. And a lot of people took it like, oh, this is supposed to make suicidal people feel good. But it wasn't. I was speaking my truth. Because that's the only day I speak my truth.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
And it bothers some people, but I get it. Like sometimes it bothers people when you support Johnny Depp or Amber Heard
And
or whatever.
I've said this before, so everyone listen up really closely because this is the truest shit I'm ever going to say, and I'll stand by this forever. But if something anyone else can say bothers you to the point of being upset emotionally, you're taking it too seriously. Like, you need to chill the fuck out and just, even if you don't agree with it, you can just be like, hey, that's his perspective.
And
Done.
that's to a degree where you like have to understand, like, I don't know how to say it, because like people be like when they hate Republicans, they'll be like, they're infringing our rules on women. It's just like, well, you need to plan and get out.
Yeah.
As a black man that literally sees and knows all this, I had to plan and get out. And me to plan and get out and figure out like how to be above and how to help and how to, spread the word. I learned that, right? So this doesn't come from anything I say, doesn't come from like a sad, like, oh, I'm in pain, right? No, living is suffering. So yeah, in a certain way you could say in suffering, but like I'm very blessed with the life I live, and I appreciate of the friend circle, the lessons I've learned, where I'm going, right? Like I know like there's no telling where I can do, where I'm going, the things I plan, but also I know like at the same time it's like, man, I have no passion, right? Like I just don't like that. That fire isn't there, and I keep reflecting back, like when I had that passion to motivate to go, it's not the same.
You just gotta. Well, I don't say you gotta. It's your journey, and you can kind of paint it however you want to. The way I've dealt with that is just like understanding my role as an observer. Like, I'm here to experience this. Like, there are certain goals I have, things I want to do, people that I want to have involved in my life for keeps or whatever. But if it doesn't happen, or those people don't come along, like, I'm just here to observe it.
And that's why, and there goes the other standpoint from this mindset is like, for me to keep going, right, it's like, well, I give myself a responsibility, right? Like I mentioned before, if I get a kid, I wouldn't leave for the kid, whatever else, I would try and be there. So then it's just like, what is my goal for my child, right? Like first, like everybody says, like to give it a good life, but no, it's more than that.
You want to shape your child in a
yes. My father wanted a child and everything. He wanted a son, and he finally had me. Had all the kids he babysat or stepkids and all these other things. He finally had me, and he was just so proud of it, right? And he did his best to teach me to be better than him, right? And he taught me in a certain way where may not try, but he taught me to want to save people, right? Well, if you teach that type of thing, that's a very suffering lifestyle. And that's why I felt like, even my mom, like, oh, you're going to do great things. They prophesied and said, I'm going to do great things. I'm going to do all this. And I was like, as a kid, I was like, why would you wish this upon me and put this in my head? My parents were like, why? I'm like, because no person that changes, Living Color, when a leader speaks, that leader dies. Like, why would you put this on a child? And like, I knew as well, like nobody changes things without dying.
In medicine, there's a very specific approach to this. And when we're taught, like most people get into medicine because they care about other people and they want to help other people. But they teach you right away, like, emotionally you need to be separate. Because if you're not separate, you're going to burn yourself out immediately. Because you can't save everybody and you're going to witness some really heartbreaking shit. So you have to separate emotionally.
You do. What was it? What's the saying goes? Die a hero, live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yeah.
That's like these things. It's just like, man, why do I go? Because like it's, if you try and change, I try and change, but it's like, how far do I go to where I'm like, you can change something really big, Jesse? Then you're given a question, and then everything that now you hold true to yourself is now a threat. Yeah.
I mean, it's just a thing about trying to help people. Like, if you follow the thread of what the highest suicide rates professionally are, it's always people that are involved in helping other people. Like, everyone knows my beef with cops. I don't fucking like cops. Any of them. Fuck them. Either way, a lot of those people go into that line of work because they think they're going to help people. Yeah. And yada, yada, yada. Medics, EMTs, nurses, doctors. These are some of the careers with the highest suicide rates professionally. And it's because you're trying to help people, and that is a heartbreaking endeavor all the way through. Anytime you're invested in benefiting somebody or helping them out of something, it's going to break your fucking heart. Because you can't be everything and do everything for everybody. You know?
That's true. That's why I'm trying to. I think like for me, because like I know like it's like how do I stay that be that hero, or how do I stay morally at this one point? Because I feel like I'm very enlightened. Like you show me something, I bring it in like to the greatest sense of like Buddhism. Like I understand, right? I could be wrong, and there's more to learn. But I don't think Buddhism being enlightened is knowing everything. It's
No.
reaching a certain
It's understanding that you're not supposed to understand everything.
yes. And once I accepted that I don't know tomorrow, I felt very free. You know, like I don't. Once I accept it, I don't know what tomorrow is. Just I don't know tomorrow. You know,
You can't control reality.
I can't control it. Like I only can do what I can. And I was like, I realized like how much I try and control it. And once I realized I can't control it, you know, I accepted it. And I was like, well, what else, right? And that's why I'm trying to be like, well, what do I do? Like everything, it's not that same passion or burn. Like, oh, I can become way more in shape. I can do some more very cool things. I can travel the world. I can see some more cool worldly stuff. I can meet some awesome people. And I can try and help people, right?
But part of what you just said, the whole accepting it, is like the key to being happy, and it's the key that a lot of people are missing because everyone wants to think about everything that happens in their life as a positive or negative. And if you stop doing that, if you just fucking stop and take life as it is presented to you, you'll be way happier. Like
That's
when
true.
something bad happens, don't think it's bad. Just be like, I'm here now. What's the next step from here?
See, and that's where I kind of realized, like, having failed events and positive events, like, I wasn't bothered. Like, I was like, you know, what I say, you know, sometimes you just got to take that L.
Yeah.
And you gotta go for it, right? Like, you got to just chunk your losses to the game,
Yep.
right? And that's what it is, like, on bad days and everything. Cause, like, I was really, like, struggled and freaked out when I got arrested by the police and I was in the passenger seat. Mentally, that really fucked me up.
Yeah.
You know, that really, you would think I was already social distancing a year ahead of time. I just didn't want to go out. 'Cause I was really like, you know, even so, when the COVID thing all happened, I didn't go out because of the cops. I was like, the cops can now pull me over and say, hey, what you doing out late? Nope. Nope. I can't even stay in the comfort of my car. And I'm like, no, I'm not cool with that, right? And then I reached a point, like, seeing all the stuff with the Black Lives Matter, I felt more free. Like, after George Floyd thing, I felt so much free because now these conversations about Black lives are actually on the table.
Yeah.
And that made me that was like one of the things that just relieved us, is like we're on the right track. Despite how much people feel about the vice president elect, we're still like we have that thing where black women can see this, right? Mixed women can see this, POC can see this. So we're going down the right step. America's going down the right step. You know, we like life doesn't need me, right? Like I don't have like you don't need me. Like what?
But that's a universal truth. Life doesn't need any of us, and we don't need life.
Exactly.
That's the thing. It's like you were talking about when COVID happened, you were scared to go out because of the cops, and that has to do with your freedom. Here's my hot take, and this is why I didn't react harshly to Jesse's post, is I've always believed this, is like there is no more free that a person can be than decide when you go out yourself. Like taking ownership of your own existence and deciding to end it is the freest you will ever get. Period.
That's true.
That's not saying I'm suicidal, because I'm not. I'm going to hang around and see what life has. I've always thought of suicide like an exit to this, but this has never gotten bad enough for me to want to leave.
See, and that's why I don't. And see, that's why I like. And like, I've been in mindset thinking like times been hard. I've been struggling all this other stuff. But then I reached a point where the thought of suicide never went away, but the constant idea changed, right? And that's why I was like, I don't say this from like fear or insecurity, you know. I won't deny like the things I went through didn't hurt. But I was also always say like, you know, I have a great friend group. I live a great life. You know, I'm happy, but I'm miserable. And people get thrown off like, you're happy but miserable. I'm like, well, that's living.
Yeah.
You know,
It's like anyone who says they're 100% happy all the time, like I'm super suspect of that immediately. Is
I'm like,
because
what drugs
like
you got?
What kind of drugs are you on?
Right.
Because, like,
Emotions are supposed to be waves.
literally, like, although Buddhism prescribes, like, a fix to it, they're saying, like, life is suffering, but we can overcome suffering if we live in the correct way. It is acknowledging that to be alive is to suffer. That's just a part of life. All of the good and all of the bad we experience is because we're alive.
But what if the fixed way is the killing yourself?
I mean, that'll fix it pretty permanently.
Right?
Yeah.
What if that's fixing away and then you won't be suffering no more and you go into it being happy?
You won't be. I mean, that's literally the end of suffering.
Right?
You
That's
know?
what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
what if that's the way through it? Was that the key? Like, oh, that's what you do. Because, but I get it, like, in America, it's bothersome for people.
Well, everyone says it's selfish. But what I would say is more selfish is you being grievous about someone escaping their suffering. There's a point where suffering gets greater than enjoyment, then that should be an option for you.
People say it's selfish because there's not if a scenario fits, then they don't say it's selfish. And I bring that up, like, this legend of a person, Shad Gatsper, passed or died this year, and he was a wrestler, Big Shad or whatever else, and they could have saved him, and he said no, grab my son, because they were picked up off the tides. So they went and saved his son first, even though he was closer, and he got tossed away from the waves and was found later dead.
Yeah. That's still suicide.
That's still suicide.
Yeah.
But it's not looked at it,
They look at him as a hero because he saved somebody else in the process.
And that scenario happens quite often.
Yeah.
So me seeing that, it's not because the scenario has that movie type scenario, tear-jerking story with it, hasn't been tagged on where people are like, oh, okay. But it's still selfish all the same. And people are like, oh, it's a selfless act. I'm like, yeah, we can say it's selfless, but in the end of the day, he knew that he couldn't deal with him being saved before his son. Mm-hmm. So he selfishly was like, if you can get me, you can get me. But if not, I know I can die and live better.
It was still selfish.
It was still selfish.
Yeah. Because he was concerned about his son. And that ultimately was selfish.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder, or not wonder, I kind of understand it, but like our concepts of selfishness necessarily being a bad thing is wrong. It's fucked up. Like, most of us act selfishly all of the time, and it still is a positive outcome for most everyone involved. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to be selfish. I think you need to be selfish without harming other people.
Yes. You
That's
can't.
what the deal is.
Without harming, and that's where that's the gray, right? Like, what do you constitute as harming, right? Because for the longest we always said harming was physical, but now we see it's emotional, all those other things, and some people can just be very ignorant to know if they are harming others.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you can take that and say, well, now his son is hurt because he lost his father.
Yeah,
right.
But he's only experiencing that because his father opted for him to be saved.
That's true.
Yeah,
but he still has to deal with that pain. That's pain nonetheless.
Yeah. That's just something he has to learn to deal with, because that's life.
That is life. That's true.
Life is taking the good and the bad and learning to cope with the bad.
That's very true. And I think that's, I think with the talks with suicide, like, why I decided, like, I first made a post, then it got reported and people, like, took it the wrong way. I was like, you know what? Because everybody was, like, bashing me, saying I was this terrible person. I was like, you know what? If they direct to my page, you can see the full reason I was talking about myself. Because I don't try and direct it to myself. Yeah. I try and make my post very third party. But I was like, you're directed to me, right? And I'll do it or whatever else because I'm going to be myself. I was like, because I thought to myself, I was like, wait. If I want to kill myself or don't care to live or be here anymore, then why do I care if I talk about what I'm going through? Mm-hmm. Right? And it's just like not wanting to be here. And it's not like I'm sad or anything else. And you got to constantly restate that because I don't think this is just like, I have a very loving, caring girlfriend. My mother is still alive. And that was also something. My mother wants me. Like, since I was a child, my mom has wanted grandkids. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, do I do this for her? Right?
You shouldn't do anything for anybody else. I'm team selfish, man.
Team selfish?
Team selfish.
John is a heel.
John is a heel.
Right? But like, and I think, like, and it's funny because, like, this will be a whole other thing. I've been about honoring your parents in such a degree that I've never been for interracial relationships. And so I was thinking to myself, for me morally, and despite I am in a racial relationship, it's funny. And it was just like, well, if I go by that moral standpoint of me being about honoring parents, technically I should be one to still honor my mom's wishes on wanting to have grandkids.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like, I'm weighing these options. And within weighing these options does stress me. This is where it becomes very stressful, and I think on it because now I have to weigh other people's feelings because it's not weighing mine.
Yeah.
Like I'm very firm on where I am, but now I'm weighing others to see, well, should I do it, right? Because my girlfriend wants me to stay around. She wants to get married. She wants to have kids. She wants all those things, right? And it's not like I don't want it. I just don't have the passion for it.
Yeah. You might be surprised though.
What?
Like if you have kids, how much passion you'd have for it.
Once again, if I have a kid, and I already stated, if I have a kid, then I'm staying here.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even rule that out. It's not like I'm saying like I don't want kids. I'm just saying me right now, I'd be fine without them.
Yeah.
Having kids, I know I would be all for it. I want to be a dad, but I don't have that passion for it.
Yeah.
Like I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a billionaire. I want to do all this. I can name things I want to do. It's not that fire's not brewing for me, right? Like I want to get in shape, and it's like, well, I don't really care to.
Yeah.
Right? I've had like health scares this year, and then I thought about it. I was just like, why are you scared? And I was like, I'm scared because other people scared. I'm scared because this is what you're supposed to be. But it's like, I'm not.
Yeah.
If I go, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where it came down to. But then I was like, should I self-sabotage myself or should I do more? And that's where I'm weighing.
And that's something that like also exclusively or almost exclusively men think about. Is like, how are other people going to be affected in most situations? Because most of the time, we're the ones like supporting everyone.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Yeah. And that's where I really like, and that's where you come down to is just like, like, and don't get me wrong, like when you talked about like, oh, throw me a big party instead of a funeral, like that made me happy, like knowing like people will be sad, but like it would be lit.
No, we're gonna get fucking trashed.
It would be so lit in my honor. I hope my ghost could visit. It'd just be in the corner like cool.
Oh, your ghost better fucking visit, dude. Like, if we throw it here after you die, I don't know what's gonna happen with this house. Likely, I'm gonna inherit it at some point. But you better move some shit around during the party. Like, take that fucking shit off and move it over there. I'll be like, all right.
Just post my casket up somewhere, bro.
Open casket.
Just put me on top of like a stuffed llama with a sword hanging out.
Yeah.
Like,
and I'm going to put a bottle of amaretto.
Just amaretto right here, the sword out like right there. Bro. Because I want people like, talk about my funny stories, talk about, like enjoy, because that's
celebrate it. Celebrate your life. Don't mourn your death.
Right? That's why I hate certain funerals. Like now, like certain funeral where, where the after party. Everybody's like, you have after party funeral? Hell yeah, we go back to the church, there's food there, and everybody talking about how that person owed them money.
Yeah.
Right? Like on, do the same to me, right? Like, dang, Jesse, he did this. He lives on my couch,
I just like, I'm on the same page as you. Like, I don't want some somber fucking thing where everyone's like crying and sad about me. Like, celebrate the dumb, wild shit that I did.
Right?
That's all I want.
And I get missing the person because oh man, because you put in time and, you get that miss because it's never going to be there again. Like, I get that. That sucks.
Yeah.
But, like, I want to take happiness as, like, me going out is, like, I'm not going out sad. Right? I'm not going out, like, boo-hooing. I'm not going out, like, I can't deal with this life anymore. No, I'm going out being the best there was, the best there is, the best there will be.
Give me a fucking warrior's death, not some sad bullshit.
That's, and, and, like, a thing about more cultures, the Middle East have a culture, like, there's so many places that have, like, that. But I think we need to have this conversation because I think with people being like upset, like, oh, suicide, like one dude got mad and he started to threaten me, which was weird. We went from suicidal to homicidal. Wild. I think the conversation, like, he clearly had issues with me for something else. I really don't know. But I think the uncomfortable conversation triggered him, at some point. And it could be because he lost a friend to suicide and everything else, so he could be projecting that onto me. you know, or other people ain't gonna like feel like that. Like, let's report his post and take it down, you know, censor him, whatever else. But it's like this conversation needs to happen. We need to know the multi layers.
People need to be able
suicide.
to converse about this thing and not get bothered.
Suicide should not be a taboo. Death shouldn't be a taboo.
No.
Because in other cultures, in so many other cultures throughout history, it wasn't.
No, because here's the thing. Like, that's what I was saying in the beginning of the episode. Is like, everyone's so fucking weird about death now, but it's literally in the contract.
Yeah.
Whenever you sign on to life, you're gonna fucking die. It's a natural part of the cycle. So why is it weird?
Man, if y'all like so worried about it, when I'll sign myself up for the Neuralink, put me in a hard drive if you ever need me. The world needs Jesse. Let's download him.
I'm only
and put me back in the game, coach.
I'm only down for Neuralink if like we can create our own adventures, right? That's all I want.
Nah, man, because there's some hackers, bro.
I'll go and live in Hyrule.
You know how much porn spam you'll probably get if we could do that? Nah, man. I don't need a bunch of porn spam of, I bet you can't last 2 seconds on my Neuralink server. Nope.
I'm going to try to beat it. I'm going to try to last 1 second. Like, just beat it. You got infinity in a computer. Why not?
That's true. The whole quantum computer, putting all our stuff in there, you know. Don't be wrong. Like, if there was a concept if I knew there was a concept to live forever, I would opt out and live forever.
Cheers.
Which is actually funny. I would opt out to live forever if there was a concept to live forever.
Yeah. I would opt out of it too. Because here's the thing, and this is probably going to like offend people or whatever, but I grew up in like a church setting. It was like a non-denominational Christian church. Mm-hmm. And the way they painted, I can remember even from a young age, like the way they painted heaven was like, we're going to go up into heaven and we're going to worship God for eternity. And I remember thinking like, that's fucking whack. What a whack-ass afterlife. For eternity? Y'all are just going to worship God for eternity. That doesn't sound like, I'll go to hell. I'll fucking take my chances, bro.
The way heaven was described was very like it didn't sound enjoyable. Like, how do y'all or nobody like as a kid I was like, this just sounds weird. This doesn't sound fun. Like,
no,
it didn't sound interesting. It sounded like they removed parts of it, and they say, well, once you remove from the flesh, as in saying like the brain without the body has no emotions.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's kind of weird. I get where you're coming from, but that's also kind of weird.
And also, this might also be a unpopular opinion, but I don't want any kind of life that doesn't have negativity in it.
Ooh.
Like, they talk about heaven as like, everything's perfect and everyone, it's all good all the time. I don't fucking want that. Like, adversity has always been the thing that's driven me to be better.
I get it, and from my concept to state it is like negativity in the word everybody says toxicness is a certain level, right? Like, between our group chat, we've had like intense conversations. You could say some negativity, disagreements, but it's not toxic. We're very mature, and that's the level I hope like a society can grow to. I haven't seen what country or whatever else like kind of like to a point where everybody has the tools to be educated enough, you know, and that's where I would like. Because I don't want to be where we're all the same. Like, it's like robots, right? Like, all robots always, for some reason, everybody says every robot comes, they're like, well, you got to kill humans. So it's one consciousness, a hive mind.
Yeah.
Right? And that just seems not the right route, that we lose our individuality.
Yeah. If everything's good and everyone's happy all the time, then there is no individuality. It's just like, I think of it this way. Like, we have video games here on Earth. When a video game's super fucking easy, and you just nail it every single time, how long does that hold your attention?
It's true.
It doesn't. You need conflict to grow from. And that's something... A challenge. And that's something a lot of our generation is missing. Because everyone sees bad shit, things that happen negatively, and they'll call it like, oh, this is toxic, that's toxic, blah, 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 blah. But like, without those negative aspects, you would never grow as a person.
I think that's why people dislike my Facebook, because it challenges to think on things.
Yes.
Right? And it bothers people. You know, like I always say all the time before, is like, before the George Floyd thing, I was talking about racism quite a bit, and people were like, No, you're getting corrupted with it. You're bothered by this. You're struggled with it, and people argue saying I was wrong. And then after George Floyd, people apologized.
Yeah.
And was like, oh, we didn't understand. And it was just like, but they were so offended, like, oh, black people feel this way? No, Jesse, you clearly don't understand black people. And I was like, oh, shit.
I'm not one myself.
Right? I was like, oh, damn. I learned something new. You know? It's just, but like...
It's going to be hard picking out a clip for this because, like, none of this was funny at all.
You said, oh, this was like a... Yeah, I mean...
This was a serious episode.
I mean, we have to find... I think there's some picture where, like, somebody's, like, posted up in a casket and at a party. That's the best we could find.
Yeah.
You know, it has to be, like, a funny funeral.
A funny funeral?
Yeah, because it's a party, right? Like,
I was going to call it death contract, but all right.
Death contract? Okay. Wow, that seems like a intense Christopher Nolan movie. Death contract.
I mean, I feel like that's part of the fucking contract when you start to live, is death is involved.
I mean, but that's true. You know, once you're born, you know the end.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's... I mean, it's just... I don't know. It's weird for people, but we need to talk about this. We need to talk about tradition. We need to talk about these things. And it's weird, right? Like, I had this one girl I was talking to after... Like, I had a girlfriend that passed. She's dead. Right? And one girl after I was talking to her was like months. It was like 3 to 6 months after. And we were just talking. And she was just like, oh, I can never date you. I was like, why? She was like, I can't compete with that. I was like, and she was like, she passed too close to you guys being broken up or whatever. And I'm like, what? That was weird. But she was like out of the country type of thing, and they held different traditions. And I was like, dang. And that had me thinking, like, America don't have no traditions with death. We just kind of don't talk about it.
No, yeah, it's just
we just
like,
crying.
It's all bad all the time.
Yeah, we don't have any. We don't
talk about a lot of things that are important to being a human.
Japan has like a hanging tree.
Yeah.
Not hanging. Wait,
forest.
We got hanging trees. My bad. America has hanging trees. We have a forest of people's suicide. Let me take that back.
No, America's all about, like, not talking about shit that is fundamentally human. Like, dying is fundamentally human.
Oh,
sexuality is fundamentally human, and we, like, treat it like some kind of taboo.
Birthing
is fundamentally human, and people treat it like a fucking taboo. You know, like...
Sex. You're right.
I don't know what our deal with, like, trying to ignore the fundamental parts of what makes us is, but it's weird.
Is that what is it? The Western evangelical Christianity?
Yeah.
That makes us ignore these things.
Yeah.
You know, and people think if we, like, human means sin, human's flesh. That doesn't these things still happen.
My biggest gripe with Christianity.
What?
It's my biggest fucking gripe. Is Christianity teaches people to be ashamed of their humanness.
That's true. Well, the concept is that you want to be Christ-like as you can. So you want to be enlightened, right? Like, at the end of the day, they want to be Buddhists. They want to be Christianity because some people can compare to one and the same. Jesus was a Buddhist, right?
The best way to be Christ-like is to accept your humanity because he was a fucking human. He was literally, in the book, God made into the flesh. He was God made into a man. But he resisted.
But he knew how to resist and not project off of him resisting.
In specific versions. Yeah. There were versions that were left out where he had a wife and a child.
Yeah, okay. I mean, back to suicide.
Back to suicide.
You know, but like
give me some really thought-provoking shit right about now.
We gotta like and here's also a point. There is a lot of media. We are making depression, mental illness, and suicide conversations popular for everybody to struggle with. And we need to take that out and have a real conversation. Because everybody's depressed, and they shouldn't be. I fully believe not everybody should be depressed. And I get the multi-level, but I'm like, black people went through so much over the years, but they didn't talk about being depressed. They were inspired.
Yeah.
So something is promoting this. Something is promoting this mental illness. Somebody is promoting all these other struggles that we shouldn't have, but using it as in, well, we're not talking about this. And then putting it into younger people's minds.
This is where I'm going to disagree with you. And this is where a lot of people are going to probably get pissed off at me. And I think depression is normal. I think it is a normal part of the human psyche. I think that a lot of the reason why people hang on to it and it stays around, and I'm part of this because like I get depressed from time to time, is this because we're living in this artificial world that we're not supposed to live in. We're comfortable, and that breeds depression. Depression is an illness of the privileged.
I agree.
We are depressed because we don't have to work for anything. We don't hunt for our food. We don't have to like farm the land. We don't have
to overcome nothing really.
we have no struggles at all. So our brain generates a struggle to deal with.
But that's what I'm saying. Like a lot with the media is it's promoting depression as a fad.
Yeah.
And that's my point. So you're kind of agreeing because that's the point I'm saying is like we're promoting mental and everything else because not everybody is ADHD, ADD, depressed, blah 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 blah. A lot of these things we nurture in it because everybody else has it.
Yes.
And we need to take a step back and take away from that and have conversations about these things.
Yeah. You're fucking depressed because you sit around all day and don't do anything. That's why I'm fucking depressed because I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
I have no difficulty to overcome in my life, and so my brain generates a difficulty for me.
Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of people like during the COVID year feels like that. And I've realized like, man, I'm not creating anything. And I realized like putting events on was part of my art. And I haven't found what I could want to do outside that. I haven't found a side project. I haven't found. So I'm kind of like in this weird bored state that could breed depression.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm not out there. I'm not getting enough sunlight. I'm not walking around. You know, like there's these things that contribute in your chemical brain doing these things that happen. And I'm very aware of that, but people aren't. Remember I made a few years ago, I made a post and I shared it talking about like, hey, before you want to get on some like medication, try walking out, all these other things that can create dopamine and stuff in your brain. Everybody got mad. I was like, you don't know about that and everything. And people got mad at me, and I realized the same thing with the suicide thing. People get mad at me because I smile all the time and I'm happy. They don't think I deal with any struggle.
Yeah, that's dumb. And as one medical professional to everyone out there, I would just like to say, SSRIs and other antidepressants are not a good move. They're not a fucking good move. You're fucking your brain up.
There is so many better ways.
Find something to pour your energy into. And I know that sounds like a very base level answer, but it is like if you have something that you can pour all of your energy into, you will be so much better.
Don't let nobody demean you if it's video games.
No, even if it's something simple, that's a very good point. Like no matter what it is, if you have something that you're passionate about that you can pour your energy into, do it 100%, and you will feel better. I promise.
Oh yeah, my girlfriend realized like after when the COVID thing, we were just like, you know, there was curfews and stuff like that. She realized I was treating it was a video game we were playing like an MMO, and I treated it like a business. And she was like, what? She didn't realize, like she were just playing, and then she realized like everything was organized, and I just had everything in a certain line up, and I was like, yeah, I have nothing to do, so
this is my thing right now.
This is my thing right now. She was just like, she was so impressed, like I never noticed it, and then she realized like, oh wow, I was like, that's what I was doing, you know.
Yep.
And like there's other ways, and you know, like if you want to do something that betters yourself, working out, eating better, there's certain things if you want to do that where it can overall help more in your life outside of like video games or reading books or things of that nature, you can do those things.
I can't remember where I heard it at, but it was like someone said eating better and exercising and getting sunlight might not cure your depression, but if you're not doing those things, you're giving yourself zero chance.
That's true.
And I think that's a good place to end on.
That is a great place to end on.
All right. So we're moving on to the promo.
Promo time.
Gotta sign me up, dog.
Oh, let's see. You are... let's see. I did a Viking last time. What do I want to give you? Let's see. We're on mental health, suicide, and everything else. Let's say you're a Buddhist. You're a Buddhist about to stop being Buddhist. And you're about to stand up and tell all the other Buddhists you're turning heel on how they need to give up and just start eating and doing whatever they want. Being woke isn't the move.
Oh, shit. He gave me a hard one.
I give you heel. That's the easy thing, right?
No, the context is difficult. All right, let's see. I need to channel I need to think about this for a second. You guys, what are we doing here? We just sit around meditating all day, wasting our time with abstinence. We're not partaking in this world, this one life we have, this one experience we have to live. Why? Why are we all wasting our lives on this? We could be going out and eating Whataburger. I hear it's the best thing in the world. Well, I'm going to tell you one thing, Jack. I've got one life. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to eat all the Whataburger. I'm going to have all the sex. I'm going to indulge in all the alcohol and drugs that I can. Because that is my prerogative. You guys can do whatever the fuck you want.
Ooh, okay. Okay. See there? You call that Whataburger the goat.
Whataburger is the fucking goat. What are you talking about?
That's true. That's true. All right.
All right, let me think. What am I going to assign you up? Vape Lords 2020. Hashtag that. What in the world? What? Just a vapey boy. Just doing my thing. All right, let's see. All right. I'm going to make you a face.
Okay.
You're going to be a face. You are an ER doctor.
Okay.
You've been admitted a client with a failed suicide attempt. He tried to cut his wrist and did it incorrectly. And his family found him and they got him admitted on a 5150, which is like a mandatory hold. And you're trying to convince this guy of all the reasons he needs to live.
Okay. What do we have here? Oh my God. You don't see the joys in life anymore. You're sad down here. What is it? Girl problems, friends, bullies. Your parents care about you, you know. They do. All right? And I see you want to go into the great light. You want to walk down that road and everything like that. But I'm just saying, it's always greener on the other side. So next time when you're trying to release some dopamine, always go across the street than down the road.
Oof.
Hope you caught that reference.
Yes. That was brilliant. For anyone who didn't catch it, that was fucking A1. Anyways, we'll catch you guys next week. Peace out.